First and foremost, thank you to Storyblocks for sponsoring this video. Today, I want to take a break from the stressful commercial and business side of things and focus on something a little more fun, something that can help us with those fundamental editing skills, things that I use on a day-to-day basis. So we've got a bag of Doritos and we're gonna get a little bit silly. Alright, let's take a look at the two shots we're going to be working with for this effect. We've got a chip here on a toothpick that I stuck on there with some super glue. We've got it rotating around about 3 times with, of course, the blue screen in the back. And for the second shot, I got a little bit of help from Sarah.
All you need to do, I'm going to hold the bowl like this. And you're going to take this chip here, and from up here, you're going to kind of like flick it and make it land just on top like that. There you go. Go.
So I'm going to start by bringing this first clip into the timeline. I'll go ahead and remove the audio, and I'm going to make a basic color correction, just kind of adding some contrast and just a little bit of saturation. From here, I can go down into my effects and search for the keyer, and when we add that onto our clip, this will automatically get rid of the blue in the background. I'll hit Command R on my keyboard and speed this up to 800%, and I'm just going to cut the clip right after the 3rd full rotation. And now I'll just trim it up and make the clip a little bit shorter. Back into our effects here, I'm going to search for the draw mask tool and drag that onto our clip, and I'm going to begin removing the toothpick from the shot. So once we've drawn our mask and we played this back full speed, you can see this is what it looks like. It's obviously not perfect, but once we have the full effect, that will not matter because nobody will notice. And now I want to add a rotation, so I'm going to bring the playhead back to the beginning of the clip. I'm going to set our rotation to about -90 and set a keyframe. And then I'm going to skip all the way to the end of our clip and set another keyframe on our rotation at -338. This is what our clip looks like with the rotation added, and now I want to add in some movement to make it look like it's floating. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of our clip here and set a keyframe on both our scale and our position, and now I'm just going to add some keyframes to make it look like the chip is kind of floating into the middle of the frame and then falling. This will take a bit of trial and error as well as some finessing, but after a little bit of time tweaking it, we should get something that looks like this. So these Doritos are sweet chili heat flavored, so let's bring in some fire to spice things up a bit. Now here in Storyblocks, I'm just going to have a look at a whole bunch of different animated backgrounds for fire. With my Storyblocks Unlimited All Access plan, I can download as many of these clips as I want. So I'm just going to go ahead and start downloading a whole bunch. Anything that I feel like might work for our effect. And I think we're good here, so now I'll get a little more specific and type in Fireball. And I think I like this one down here, so I'll go ahead and download that as well. Now Storyblocks has a massive library of stock footage, motion backgrounds, After Effects templates, and overlays. My Storyblocks subscription comes in clutch for pretty much every single project I work on nowadays, whether I'm in need of some backgrounds for a commercial I'm working on or some basic animations and overlays for a YouTube video. If you would like to check out Storyblocks, then go to the link in the description below or head over to storyblocks.com/Daniel Schiffer to learn more. So let's go ahead and bring this Fireball asset into our timeline here and drag it underneath. I'm going to try and time it so that the explosion starts right around when the chip begins falling, and I'm also going to draw a mask to make sure that any hard edges that are showing in the frame are hidden behind the chip. And once I'm done that, I'm also going to fade out the fireball using a couple of keyframes on the opacity slider. I'm pretty happy with how this is looking, so I'm just going to highlight everything and make it a compound clip to combine it all into a single layer. Next thing I want to do is bring in this fire background, which I also got from Storyblocks, and drag it underneath our chip clip. I'm going to select the top clip and change the blend mode to add so that we can see the clip underneath. And now I'm just going to adjust the size of the background and position it however I like. And now it is time to transition this into our second clip. Now for the second clip here, we don't actually want to see this chip falling into the frame because we're going to be using the chip we have here in our previous frame. So what I'm going to do is rewind frame by frame until this chip is just out of the frame, and then I'll select the clip and go up here and use the hold function, stretch this out a whole bunch and make a cut, make another cut here and delete the beginning. And now I'm going to click forward frame by frame until our chip hits the bowl, and that is where we are going to start this portion of of the clip. And what we're left with is this sequence where we have the impact of the chip into the rest of the chips within the bowl without actually seeing that chip falling through the air. I'm going to highlight both of these and right click and make a compound clip. And now clicking through frame by frame, I'm going to wait until the exact moment where that impact occurs right here. And now just using the M key on my keyboard, I will create a marker on our clip, as you can see down here. Now I'm just going to drag this up and over our previous clip, making sure that our marker is lined up with the end of our first clip. And now I'm just going to trim up the beginning of this clip to about 7 frames before our marker. And right here is where I want our transition to start. The next step is to add a speed ramp to our first clip. So I'm just going to scrub through here until a moment where I feel like we can have the clip slowed down. Right there looks good. So I'll hit Shift B and set this to 200%. And then I'm just going to do the same once again towards the end of our clip here, setting the rest of this to 200% as well. On second thought, I'm actually going to speed this up to 8 times its original speed to accentuate the transition we're about to make. I think that looks a lot better. And next, we're just going to duplicate this chip clip and bring it on top of everything. I'm going to scrub through to where the fireball disappears, and this is where I'm going to trim the clip up to. I'm going to change the blend mode of this top clip here to normal. And now making sure our playhead is right at the start of our top chip clip here, I'm going to select the bottom chip clip and make a cut and set the opacity of this portion to 0. That way these two layers won't be doubled up or overlapping in any way. Now back to our second clip here, I'm going to scrub through to our marker and I'm just going to zoom into about 110%. I'm going to set a keyframe there as well as on our position, bring our playhead back to the start of our second clip, and I'm just going to drag this all the way down until it is completely out of the frame. I'm going to make sure that these keyframes you just made are set to linear, and now when we play this back, you can see that our second clip slides up from the bottom. I think now is a good time to add a quick color grade. I'm just going to use my basic LUT from my Vintage Look 2 LUT pack. Now the color of the chips seem to be matching a little bit better, so now it's all just a matter of finessing these to make it look smooth. In my effects here, I'm going to grab the shape mask tool and drag that onto our second clip, and I'm just going to use the feather tool to kind of smooth this out so that it doesn't have a hard edge as it comes into the frame. And now we want to fix the size of this Dorito, so I'm going to bring the playhead back here to the start of this clip, and I'm going to set a keyframe on our position and our scale, and then I'm going to skip ahead to the end of this clip, and I'm going to reduce the size of our chip a whole bunch and just bring it over to this side of the bowl. And we're just going to make minor adjustments until everything seems to line up. Now to tie everything together a little bit more seamlessly, I'm going to add some motion blur over the start of the clip as well as over the transition. Just for fun, I added a couple of finishing touches to the whole clip by zooming in when I looked up at the camera, and then using Final Cut's built-in tracking tool, I tracked these little fire animations I got from Storyblocks to my eyeballs, and additionally added in some smoke kind of coming out of my ears on either side, because that is how we know the chip is spicy. And once that is all done, this is what we get. I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial. Don't forget to go to the link down in the description below or go to storyblocks.com/Daniel Schiffer, and I will see you in the next video.